Ella and Nathan had always dreamed of a white Christmas, but not the kind with twinkling lights and eggnog by the fire. Growing up in the suburbs of Seattle, they bonded over the claymation classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer every holiday season. As kids, they'd huddle under blankets on the living room floor, wide-eyed at the stop-motion magic, the misfit reindeer, the island of misfit toys, and the glowing nose cutting through the storm. One day, young Nathan would whisper to Ella during the commercials, "We'll see real lights in the sky, brighter than Rudolph's nose." Ella, with her freckled cheeks and infectious laugh, would nod eagerly, and we'll be adventurers like Yukon Cornelius. What's up, guys and gals? Iceman here. Welcome to Horrors of the North. This is my new YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe to it and like this video. So let's get into the story. Years later, as college sweethearts in their mid-20s, that childhood fantasy evolved into something bolder. Nathan, now a software engineer with a penchant for extreme sports, proposed the idea over pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving. Alaska for Christmas Eve, he said, his blue eyes sparkling. The Northern Lights, Aurora Borealis. We'll camp out, just us, under the stars. Ella, an environmental science grad student studying Arctic ecosystems, hesitated at first. She knew the risks: sub-zero temperatures, isolation, and wildlife that didn't care about holiday cheer. But Nathan's enthusiasm was contagious, and the thought of witnessing the ethereal green waves dancing across the sky sealed it. "Okay," she agreed, kissing him, "but we pack bear spray. Polar bears aren't like the ones in cartoons." They flew into Anchorage on December 23rd, 2025, rented a rugged SUV, and drove north toward the Brooks Range, where the Aurora was predicted to be spectacular. The landscape was a frozen wonderland. Endless snowfields under a steel gray sky, dotted with stunted evergreens, bowed under ice. Ella rattled off facts from her studies as Nathan drove. "Polar bears are the largest land carnivores," she said, her breath fogging the window. "Ursus maritimus, sea bear. They spend most of their time on sea ice, hunting seals. But now, with the ice caps melting, they're hungrier, venturing further inland. Christmas Eve might be peak hunting time. They're opportunistic predators with a sense of smell that can detect prey from miles away." Nathan chuckled, squeezing her hand. "You're my walking encyclopedia. Don't worry, babe. We've got the tent rated for -40 degrees, flares, and that spray. Plus, it's Christmas Eve. Who attacks on a holiday?" They arrived at their remote campsite by late afternoon, a cleared spot near a frozen river, miles from the nearest road. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows, and the temperature plummeted to -15 degrees Fahrenheit. They pitched their dome tent efficiently, staking it deep into the snowpack. Inside, they unrolled sleeping bags, zipped together for warmth, set up a portable heater, and unpacked snacks, hot cocoa mix, energy bars, and a bottle of champagne to toast under the lights. As dusk fell, they bundled in layers, thermal underwear, fleece down jackets, and stepped out to scan the horizon. The northern lights began as a faint glow, then erupted into ribbons of emerald and violet, swirling like cosmic smoke. Ella gasped, pulling Nathan close. "It's better than Rudolph," she whispered. The Aurora pulsed, illuminating the snow in otherworldly hues. They stood, mesmerized for hours, the cold biting at their faces, until exhaustion set in. "Let's warm up in the tent," Nathan suggested with a wink. Back inside, they stripped off their outer layers, the heater humming softly. The tent felt like a cocoon, insulated from the Arctic night. Ella climbed on top of Nathan, her body pressing against his in the confined space. Their breaths mingled, quickening as hands explored familiar curves. "Merry Christmas Eve," she murmured, her lips brushing his ear. Nathan grinned up at her, his hands on her lips. The aurora's faint light filtered through the tent fabric, casting a greenish glow on their skin. They moved together, lost in the rhythm, the world outside forgotten. Polar bears, however, don't forget. This one, a massive male weighing over 1,500 pounds, had been roaming the tundra for days, his white fur blending seamlessly with the snow. Winter in Alaska is a brutal test for these apex predators. With sea ice forming late due to warming oceans, seals were scarce, and hunger gnawed at his belly like a persistent wound. His black nose twitched, catching scents in the wind. Human sweat, food wrappers, and something primal, mating. Polar bears are solitary hunters evolved for ambush, their paws broad as dinner plates with razor-sharp claws propel them silently across snow. This bear had smelled the campsite from 2 miles away, drawn by the promise of easy calories. Humans were rare prey, but desperation made him bold. Inside the tent, Ella arched her back, her moans echoing softly in the enclosed space. Nathan's fingers dug into her thighs, pulling her closer. The heater's warmth amplified their heat, sweat beating on their bodies despite the cold outside. "God, Ella," he groaned, his voice husky. Then a low rumble pierced the night. Not thunder, but a guttural growl that vibrated through the ground. Ella froze, her eyes widening. "What was that?" Nathan paused, listening. "Wind? Or maybe The tent wall exploded inward with a deafening rip. Fabric tore like paper as a massive paw, claws extended, slashing through the nylon. The polar bear's head followed, jaws gaping in a roar that exposed yellowed fangs longer than fingers. Its black eyes gleamed with feral hunger, breath steaming and the cold air rushing in. Ella screamed, tumbling off Nathan as the bear lunged. The tent buckled under the assault, poles snapping like twigs. Nathan scrambled for the bear spray on the floor, but the beast was faster. It clamped down on his leg, teeth sinking through muscle and bone with a sickening crunch. Blood sprayed, hot and metallic, staining the sleeping bags. Nathan howled in agony, flailing wildly. "Ella, run!" he gasped. But there was nowhere to go. The tent was collapsing around them, snow avalanching in through the gash. Ella grabbed a flare from their pack, her hand shaking as she ignited it. The red light burst forth, hissing and sparking. But the bear was undeterred. Polar bears have thick blubber layers insulating them from cold and pain alike. This one released Nathan's leg, now a mangled ruin, and swiped at Ella with a paw. Claws raked across her abdomen, tearing through skin and fabric in one fluid motion. She staggered back, guts spilling warm against the freezing air. Her scream cut short as shock set in. The bear reared up, its full height filling the crumbling tent. It was a monster from nightmares, fur matted with old blood, scars crisscrossing its muzzle from past battles. In the wild, polar bears kill with efficiency. A bite to the neck or skull crushes vital structures. But hunger made this one savage. It pounced on Nathan again, jaws closing around his shoulder, bones shattered under the pressure. Polar bears exert over 1,200 pounds per square inch in their bite, rivaling great whites. Nathan's cries turned to gurgles as blood filled his lungs. Ella, clutching her wounds, tried to crawl away, but the tense fabric entangled her legs. The aurora outside mocked them, its serene dance contrasting the chaos. "Nathan!" she whimpered, reaching out for him. The bear turned, its snout smeared red, and lunged at her. Teeth pierced her thigh, dragging her back. She felt the pop of her femur fracturing, pain exploding like fireworks. In her mind, flashes of childhood. Rudolph guiding Santa's sleigh, safe and warm. This was no claymation fairy tale. The bear mauled her relentlessly, claws disemboweling as it sought the soft organs beneath. Ella's vision blurred, the world narrowing to the beast's hot breath and the metallic tang of her own blood. Nathan, barely alive, watched helplessly as the bear tore into her chest, ribs cracking like dry branches. His last thought was of that glowing nose. Why couldn't it save them now? With a final triumphant roar, the bear retreated momentarily, allowing the tent to fully collapse. Snow poured in, mixing with their pooling blood. The white expanse outside turned crimson, a macabre holiday canvas under the northern lights. The aurora swirled on, indifferent to the carnage. In the aftermath, the bear feasted. Polar bears consume up to 150 pounds of meat in a sitting, their stomachs expanding to accommodate. This meal would sustain him through the lean days ahead. Tracks in the snow would later tell the story. A single set approaching, chaos, then departure. Search parties, alerted by their unchecked flight home, found the site on Christmas morning. A ruined tent, scattered gear, and blood-soaked snow. No bodies remained. The bear had dragged them off, caching leftovers under snow like seals. Ella and Nathan's dream of lights brighter than Rudolph's had ended in darkness. In Alaska's unforgiving wild, even Christmas Eve bows to nature's law, survival of the fittest. The aurora faded with dawn, leaving only silence and red snow.